All right, well, good morning. I'm glad you're here. This is Michael Didier. We're going to finish Genesis 3 today. We're going to go to Yasher and begin it. It's a little bit disappointing, I got to tell you. It starts out badly. I love Yasher, but it starts out badly. And then we're going to go to Genesis 4. Oh my, we have such wonderful things to see today. Let's begin here. I'm going to do a quick review. I always do a quick review. We got to understand things in the context of where they're presented. That said, I want to begin. Remember, we talked about the woman was talking to the serpent. She was listening to another individual besides her husband. Bad idea. But remember, somebody was listening to my Loving Yehovah 101. I think it was Suzanne, a new friend, blog friend, not a Facebook friend. Was listening to, she's been on there constantly, listening to Loving Yehovah 101. Remember, Loving Yehovah 101, for those of you who don't know, I think most of you do, we're talking about loving Yehovah with all our heart, lavav, with all our soul, nefesh, and with all our me'od, which is our actions. The nefesh, the soul, is the thoughts and the emotions. And that's the order that they proceed from us. Yehovah brings his word into us, talking to men. We digest it in light of what's going on about us. We are not torn by our emotions and our thoughts. We bring those into alignment with the spirit of Yehovah that's coming into our hearts. And then we act out in accordance with his statutes and his judgments and his ordinances. What did this woman do? She reversed it. And he did exactly the same thing. Because she led her man away from Yehovah. Defiled her man. We talked about it last week. Look what it says. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food. What is the thing that we're talking about there? Actions, taste buds. Pleasant to the eyes. A tree desirable to make one wise. She's got the whole order confused. And this is how the whole world lives, in a topsy-turvy world. We, the people who have repented, now turning back to Yehovah's ways, arrange our life differently. And that's not viewed well by the world. That's why it says in, I believe it's Proverbs 29, that the righteous man is an abomination to the wicked, and the wicked is an abomination to the righteous man, to the upright man, the Yasher man. Well, we moved on. He ate. And then Yehovah came looking for somebody in the garden. They heard a voice. And it was Yehovah calling to who? Right here. Adam. He was calling to the man, not his woman. He said, "Where art thou?" Oh my goodness. I am waiting for Yehovah to come to me and say, "Where art thou?" My response is going to be, "Hininai." Here I am. Use me. But this man was now separated from Yehovah. We saw that Yehovah created him to have the Cha-yim, the life. Remember we talked about glory and honor and immortality. And now it's gone. Yehovah said, who told you that you were naked? Something has happened. He's died. Not the flesh, the spirit. This is what it's all about. The spirit man, the Cha-yim man, is gone. Now he's just like the other beasts. No, he's worse than the other beasts, and so is she. Why? Because the other beasts of the earth are doing what they were created to do. They're still being fruitful and multiplying. But this man, Adam, and his woman aren't. Do you see a problem with that? Well, now they're going to receive the recompense for what they've done. And I think this is very interesting. I just discovered this just this morning, within an hour. Look what it says. This is Yehovah talking to Satan. He says, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. What's going on here? Does Satan have seed? Does the woman have seed? In the flesh, neither of them have seed, do they? But remember, we're talking about Satan's seed. What is Satan's seed? We're talking about spiritual seed, folks. We're not talking about flesh. The spiritual seed is the sons of Belial. The seed of Belial. I've written an article about the seed of Belial. But who is this woman's seed? No. Who is this woman? See, we think in the flesh, don't we? Well, he's going to talk about some of the flesh down below when he talks about the woman. He's going to talk about some of the flesh down below when he talks about the man, but he's talking to Satan right now, a spiritual being. What woman is he talking about? Well, this is it. We don't understand. I have long said that the woman was, in a sense, the ger, giving birth to the Ezra. But you know what? I was wrong. It's the Ezra giving birth to the Ezra. Ooh, look at what we're talking about. Here is, let's understand who this woman is. I can show you the verses where it talks about the woman giving birth to the male child. But we really have to understand who the woman is. And it occurred to me this morning who this woman is. Let's go to, I believe it is Isaiah 62, verse 5. I've already visited this morning. Look what it says. I want you to read it here on the right, because it's more, understanding it in the Hebrew is going to help you better. It says, as a young man, a Bekor, marries Baal's, here's Baal's, Bekor. Bekor comes from bachelor. As a young man, a bachelor, marries Baal's masters a virgin. Yeah, virgin. Betula. Okay, now listen what it says. It says, so shall thou. This is Yehovah. So shall thou, Baal, thy sons. Yehovah's spiritually born sons are the woman. Look at what it says. Read it in the context, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. As a young man, Baal marries a virgin. So shall thou marry, so thou shalt marry thy sons. As a bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall thy Elohim rejoice over you. Who is he talking to? He's talking about Israel, the spiritually born men. Remember how you get spiritually born men? They leave the kingdom of their birth. They cross through the Red Sea. They leave the jurisdictional authority of their old Elohim, the Obamas. We have somebody visiting from South Africa. What's the name of the South African president? Zuma. There you go. President Zuma. Yeah, Nicolene knows. Jacob Zuma. Well, we've got Obama that we got to leave. Leave the Obamas, leave the Zumas, and join yourself. I'm talking to men. Join yourselves to Yehovah. Okay? That's how you become a ger. That's the circumcision of the heart. But then at Passover, you get to become the Ezra. Okay? I'm the woman teaching you how to become the seed of the woman. That's the seed that is going to overcome the seed of Belial. Oh my goodness. Well, we've talked about this a lot. I'm just really excited to understand that it's the spiritually born men who are giving birth to the seed, the spiritually born seed. Ooh, you get to see that very clearly in this verse right here, or in this passage right here. Isaiah 54. Sing, O barren, you who have not borne, break forth into singing and cry aloud. You who have not labored with child. I don't have to labor with a child. It's painless. Well, kind of. For me to give birth to spiritually born sons. I'm the woman who's giving birth to the male child even today. I got more sons this last Passover. And maybe even this last second Passover, I picked up a couple more. Who knows? But I want you to listen to this link right here. This is called Who Bears the Spiritual Son. This is the seed that we're talking about. The seed of the woman. It's a spiritually born woman. They're men. Ezra men. You can find this right here on my blog. Spiritually born men. And then it has bearing the spiritual son right here. You've got to listen to this. I don't know, maybe it's a half-hour teaching. It's not very long. Here, 26 minutes. That's all it is. Listen to it. It's an amazing teaching. And it is the woman seed that is going to take out the seed of Belial in the last days. Ooh, Yehovah is going to bring his word to pass. Don't bet your life on anything but that. Align your life with Yehovah's word and you will live. So let's go back to Genesis 3. I was on 15, but I now want to go to 16. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow. your pregnancy and your conception. Even carrying this child is going to be difficult. In pain you shall bring forth sons. Your desire shall be for your man, and he shall rule over you is added. He's going to rule. It's definitely clear that he's going to rule over the woman. That's why the woman was created, to be an aid suitable. No man in your life, no relationship with Yehovah. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. To the man, listen what he said. Then to Adam he said, because you heeded the voice of your woman. What was the man's sin? He disobeyed Yehovah because he listened to the voice of his woman. A Jezebel. Don't let your woman lead you. You lead your woman. Ooh, I know that is not very politically correct in this day and age, is it? Well, let's drop down to where we left off. The last verse we read was Genesis 20. We saw it was Ha-Adam who called his woman's name Eve. There is no word for wife in Torah. She is his woman. He named all the animals. He's going to name his woman as well. And you know what? I think he's going to name his sons, even though sometimes it doesn't look that way. You know what? Sometimes we have to overlook a verse that might try to tell us differently and understand that there's more for us to see. We'll talk about that as we go through this lesson today. It says 21. Also for Adam. This is the first time that it says Adam. Also for Adam and his woman, Yehovah Elohim. Remember, we're talking about Yehovah Elohim. Made tunics of skin and clothed them. What was this tunics and why is these tunics important? You know, few understand that this clothing is going to have ramifications throughout Genesis. I would like to show you some things. I think understanding it in the context is important. So bear with me while I just go through some things from Yasher. We're not going to get to this portion of Yasher for weeks, but I want to go through these a little bit. I put these clothes have history. This is Yasher 7:24. And the garments of skin which Elohim made for Adam and his woman when they went out of the garden were given to Cush. Cush. Who's Cush? Cush is the son of Ham. For after the death of Adam and his woman, the garments were given to Enoch, the son of Jared. And Enoch was taken up to Elohim. He gave them to Methuselah, his son. And at the death of Methuselah, Noah took them and brought them into the ark. And they were with him until he went out of the ark. And in their going out, Ham stole those garments from Noah, his father. And he took them and hid them from his brothers. Remember, Methuselah had him, and then Noah had him. Enoch had them too. Remember, after Noah died, Enoch got them. Then they went to Methuselah. Both of those men were leaders in the earth. They led kings of all nations. We're going to see how these wonderful men were. But now Ham is getting the garments. In their going out, Ham stole those garments from Noah, his father. He took them and hid them from his brothers. He didn't even tell his brothers that he had them. And when Ham begat his firstborn, Cush, he gave the garments in secret. And they were with Cush many days. And Cush also concealed them from his sons and brothers. And when Cush had begotten Nimrod in his old age, he gave him those garments through his love for him. And Nimrod grew up. And when he was 20 years old, he put on the garments. And Nimrod became strong when he put on the garments. And Elohim gave him might and strength. And he was a mighty hunter on the earth. Yea, he was a mighty hunter in the field. And he hunted animals, and he built altars, and he offered upon them the animals before Yehovah. And Nimrod strengthened himself and rose up from amongst his brothers. And he fought the battles of his brethren against the enemies round about. Who was he fighting? The sons of Shem and the sons of Japheth. And Nimrod strengthened himself, rose up against his brother, and he fought battles of his brethren against all the enemies round about. And Yehovah delivered all the enemies of his brethren in his hands. And Elohim prospered him. And Elohim prospered him from time to time in his battles, and he reigned upon the earth. This is why Esau killed Nimrod. See, we don't understand. Why did Esau give up his blessing? We think it was stolen by Jacob. But Esau was never to have that blessing. We'll talk about that when we get there. That's like, what, Genesis 25, 26? We got a long ways to go. But look what it says, Yasher 27. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled. Why did he flee? Because he had just killed Nimrod. Why? Because he wanted to get the garments and he wanted to rule the earth. This is the history behind these garments. Let me read this verse. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled and thereby escaped. And Esau took his valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole earth, and he ran and concealed them in his house. Nimrod didn't need the blessing. He had what he thought in the flesh was going to give him rule over the whole earth. I don't need a spiritual rule. He was a son of Belial, depending on the flesh. And Yehovah said, behold, the man. It is the Ha-Adam. Ha-Adam has, this is my New King James, has become like one of us to know good and evil. Well, I spent a lot of time on this verse last week. Several days, actually, last week, working on this verse, trying to get to the truth. And the truth came down to this verse, or this word right here. Yeah, this is it. Okay, do you know that Strong's is not our friend. He's not. These strong numbers will lead us astray. He's got two words for new. Same letters, but he's got two strong numbers for the same letters. So you can choose, you can pick and choose what you want to make it work with your theology. So when we talk about a renewed covenant, he makes it a new covenant. Ooh, it's so deceptive. You guys have no idea. But here, this particular word says many. Okay, they make it from, out of, all these things. But if you go into the ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible, if you check the root of this word, and the root of this word is mem, nun. Right there, that's the root. Okay, this mem says from, and this vav, right here, if I can get it to shine up, says his. So what are we talking about here? The word min, the root of this word is this right here. This is ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible. It means firm action or concrete noun, kind. Listen to this. The picture mem is the picture of water or other liquids such as blood. The nun is a picture of a seed representing continuance. Combined, these made blood continues. Each species, each kind continues by passing its blood to the following generation, which comes from the parent. Also, the idea of strength through the blood. We're not so much concerned with that. We're talking about kind, each species, each kind. What is he saying here? I had to dig deep on this, but here's what I found. It says, behold, Adam is become as first from his kind. Because man was created in the image of Elohim, that's how we were created. But when we chose to eat from that tree of knowledge of good and evil, we created Adam, Adam created a new kind. A perverted kind that's now going to produce after his own kind. Behold, Adam is become as first from his kind to know good and evil. Ooh, this is so amazing. You'll have to maybe take some time to think about this. The man was created in Yehovah's image with Cha-yim, but the man birthed seed in his own image. The man has become the first seed of Belial. Belial seed. That's what we're talking about. Oh my goodness. This is terrible. We were supposed to be created with glory and honor and immortality. Now we're created less than that. Perverted seed. And that is the good news of the kingdom. We now can become the righteous seed. But first we got to leave the Elohim of our birth and become Ger, and then at Passover become the Ezra man the glory and the honor and the immortal man. The woman's seed. The seed that has the Cha-yim in it. The life. The big life. For Elohim knows in the day that you eat of it, your eyes will be open and you will become as Elohim. Elohim kind. To know good and evil. That's what we were talking about in our verse up above. Talked about it last week. This is what I was hoping to get to last week, but I didn't have time. O generation, see the word of Yehovah. Have I been a wilderness to Israel? Or a land of darkness? Why do my people say, we are lords, we are Adon? We will come no more to you, Yehovah. Well, that's where we're at right now. We don't need Yehovah. Don't you know we are a new man in Jesus? Oh, brother. Doctrines and traditions of men that trump the word of Elohim. Don't go there. Because he thought he could decide good and evil, Yehovah kicked him out of the garden. I put Micah speaks to the people about what Yehovah wants from Adam. What does he want? Obedience. Elohim has shown thee, O man, what is good. And what does Yehovah require of thee? But to do justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy Elohim. Adam failed to walk humbly. No, Adam failed to walk humbly with his Elohim, Yehovah Elohim. And now a new kind has been made in the earth, a seed of Belial. Too bad. How sad. And now, Israel, what does Yehovah, your Elohim, require of you? Kind of echoing the same thing. Really, Micah's echoing this. What does Yehovah, your Elohim, require of you? But to fear your Elohim, to walk in all his ways, to love him, to serve Yehovah, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your soul. He's talking to men, not women. Women's Elohim is their man. Well, we can talk about it. They have like one of us. Oh, brother. You know what? There is not a single thing in this verse that would indicate us. But because we've got this theology, this Trinitarian theology, we lose the understanding and we use a perverted verse, perverted by translators that want you to believe a certain way. There's no us. There's nothing in here that says us. They make the akkad one instead of first. Look, it says the us is supplied, added word because akkad is being translated as one instead of first. If it's going to be one, it has to be one of a group. But we're talking about first, akkad. When it talks about Yehovah, hear, O Israel, Yehovah our Elohim. Yehovah is first. It gets translated as one. It's incorrect. I wrote a whole article on that as well. It's at the bottom of this page right here. Yehovah is first, not one. This misunderstanding of the difference between the qualitative and the quantitative plural is the reason why we add words such as us when talking about the Elohim. Oh my goodness. That's what they do. How many people have said they'll say, well, Elohim, don't you know, is a plural word. Plural of Eloah. Eloah. It's a plural word. But why is it a plural word? See, we don't understand the qualitative and the quantitative plural in the Hebrew. When we talk about the qualitative plural, we're talking about the Elohim, the great lawmaker and judge. But in our minds, and because every other language in the world doesn't have a qualitative plural, we make it more than one Elohim. And so we throw in Jesus and the Holy Spirit along with it. Folks, you learn lies. Don't go there. Here's Echad. Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the Echad day. The first day. Now, there are places where Echad can legitimately be translated as one. This is not one of them. And many of the places where they use it is not one of them also. Like I said, Deuteronomy 6:4 and this current verse, 3:22 of Genesis, perverts it. Well, we're almost done with this chapter. Let's move on to the next verse, 23. Oh no, 22. Well, I guess I got to finish 22. Behold, here, let me read it to you again. Behold, Ha-Adam is become as first from his kind, to know good and evil. Well, that's not the whole verse. And now, lest he put out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. Can't have this Belial seed living forever. Not appropriate. We've already got a spiritual being that is living forever that Yehovah has to deal with. His name is Satan and a bunch of his cohorts. Got to deal with them already. We don't need any more trouble. Therefore, Yehovah Elohim sent who? Sent him out of the garden to till the ground from which he was taken. Who was taken from the ground, the man or the woman? Adam was taken from the ground. He's going to till the ground from which he was taken. The man is the one who's getting kicked out of the garden. He sent him. Sent. That's that word that we talk about so often. Shalak. He shalak him, sent him out of the garden. But where the man goes, his flesh goes. You know what? My hand has never left my body. It's always with me. Yeah, never left. My eyes, they stay in my head all the time. Well, the bone of his bone and the flesh of his flesh is going to be with him. But I think it's interesting. I put all our sustenance comes from the ground at one point or another. And I have long felt that we, Israel, are to be an agrarian society. He didn't send us out to build a city. He sent us out for what? To till the ground. It says, so, verse 24, so he drove Ha-Adam. Ha-Adam is not the woman. If you've been following me along, we know that's not the woman. So he drove out Ha-adam, and he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way of the tree of life. Well, we have finished now 3 chapters. These first 3 chapters are foundational in understanding Yehovah's word. If you don't get these first 3 chapters under your belt satisfactorily, you're going to pervert all the rest of Yehovah's word. Oh, I see some of you guys are saying stuff here. I'm missing your comments. I really miss not hearing those comments coming in. But thank you for all those wonderful comments. He drove Ha-adam. And he drove. Well, here's what I wanted to go over with you. These are what I would call advanced principles of the word. These are things that we can glean by understanding Genesis 1, 2, and 3 as a whole. And these things that I'm going to mention here, these principles, advanced principles, these are not precepts, these are principles of the word. Things that we have to discover, understandings, if you will. You know, you got knowledge, but with your knowledge you get understandings. This is advanced understandings. Here's the first one. Man follows Yehovah, and a woman follows her man. Generally speaking, in the end, a woman gets what her man gets because she is he. Understanding the role of a woman and the role of a man in Yehovah's kingdom. Wow, there is a wealth of information and almost some troubling things, I think, in light of the doctrines and traditions of men that we've all learned. Remember, if a woman is covered, the whole idea is to have a man turn to Yehovah and a woman follow her man. Now, there are women who are connected to bad men. Abigail, she's a great example. Remember, Nabal was described. In fact, they used the seed of Belial to describe Nabal. It says, seed of Belial. Ooh, isn't that interesting? But even with this seed of Belial, Abigail was willing to lay down her life to save him. That is a woman of worth. And that kind of woman, even though that's why I say, generally gets what her man gets. She was willing to lay down her life when David was coming to kill Nabal and all the men of his household. She said, let his sin fall upon me. Wow, bless her sweet heart. And within, I think it was even that night, Nabal had a heart attack. Yehovah took him and freed up Abigail to now become the woman of David. The man who had the Cha-yim in him. And now she gets the Cha-yim. Oh, I love when he sent his servants to get her, asked her if she would become his woman. And she said, I call her the extra mile girl. She said, I will wash the feet of thy servants. Not thy feet, the feet of thy servants. That's the kind of woman that a woman of worth is. She lays down her life in service to her man. Well, here's the next precept, the next advanced understanding. A woman has no standing before Yehovah without a man in her life. Ooh, I know, those are fighting words, aren't they? Most people don't want to hear things like this. But how was the woman created? Why was the woman created? To be an Etzer Connecto, an aid suitable to her man. He never told the woman to do anything. Except what? Your desire shall be for your man, and he shall rule over you. Many will tell you, and I've had people tell me this, I've had ladies tell me this. Don't you know, now we're in Jesus. We're a new creation and we're going back to pre-curse. That's not what's going on. You were created to be an aid suitable, not an equal. You were bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. Since when does a woman lead, or when does a flesh lead the man? When does the flesh lead the head? Don't go there. It's going to get you killed. Trying to help ya. You know, ladies, people don't understand. I'm your best friend. I'm your best friend. I'm saving marriages and making marriages run properly. I'm helping marriages to give the light of truth into the world. But we have been so inundated with the doctrines and traditions of men. Oh, you get it on TV, you get it on radio, you get it in books, you get it in songs. It's everywhere. I'm going to kick that man out of the house. He's going to sleep on the sofa tonight. Oh, you Jezebel women. Repent. That's how a woman repents. She repents and turns back to her man. No man? Get one. Get one and live. You won't live. You will not have eternal life if you don't have a man in your life. I'm telling you, ladies. You're not doing what you're being created to do. You're not being fruitful. Learn to be fruitful. The pig is fruitful. The dog is fruitful. But most women and most men are not fruitful because they don't do what they were created to do. Women were created to follow their man. Man was created to follow Yehovah, not the Elohim of this world. Repent before it's too late. Here's another precept. A woman serves Yehovah by serving her man faithfully. Now I put, well, encourage him to follow Yehovah faithfully. Okay, ladies, best keep your mouth quiet. If your man asks, you can tell him. This is why I say usually by actions, not words. Does the master or does the servant tell the master what to do? See, we don't know our roles. We were just talking as a young man, Baal's masters a woman. So shall Yehovah master his sons. When you begin to lay down your life for your man, even if he doesn't want to follow Yehovah, you begin to send a new light into the world and a new light into his heart. And I have seen it over and over and over again that marriages are being changed. The man is saying, what is going on with my woman? She's having sex with me when I want to have sex. She's doing the things that I want her to do. And she's never done it before. What's going on? Well, that is the kind of thing that is going to lead your man without even a word being spoken. Here's the fourth one. A woman of worth in Yehovah's kingdom always has a covering. Did you hear what I said? Remember, you were told to be fruitful and multiply. The animals are doing what they're supposed to do. But most women aren't doing what they were supposed to do. Following their man. No covering? See, the world's encouraging divorce, isn't it? Satan wants you to leave your man. He wants you to be uncovered. Why? Because he knows you're going to be his if you do. Not going to be Yehovah's. There's no room in the world for an uncovered woman. That's why we take care of widows and orphans. We take care of our widows and our orphans, not the world's widows and orphans. Israel takes care of their widows and orphans. If my sister were to lose her husband, I would try to take care of my sister and her kids, her boys. But I'm not going to take care of my neighbor's kids. They're not my responsibility. See, we don't know the role of Israel. We got this whole idea that somehow we're following Elohim by taking care of widows and orphans. Ridiculous. No, now you're sending your money to the seat of Belial. You've learned lies. Here's the last one. If a woman sins, it's the same as her man sinning. Oh, see, most of us don't get this. This is why in Deuteronomy 24, it says if a man finds a uncleanliness in his woman, he can send her away. Why? Because he can't have that woman bringing sin on his life. Well, we're going to see how this fits together throughout all of the Torah. Yeah, Sheila's saying, and most TV shows and movies make the man into a weak one in the family. They also make fun of him. Yeah, makes her mad. Well, again, think about this. I said a woman. Where did I say this? A woman has. I guess it was my first one. No, second one. A woman has no standing before Yehovah without a man in her life. Ask yourself this. Does a woman go into the temple? The answer is no. Does a woman slaughter the Cha-yim? The answer is no. The woman doesn't even eat meat unless her man is there to slaughter the meat for her. It's his responsibility. Oh, I can't even get into Revelation or Leviticus 17 where we're talking about meat slaughtered to idols. That's what we get at the grocery store. Oh, my goodness. But no, a woman doesn't have any standing. She can't come before Yehovah. The best she does is come to the steps of the temple, the steps of the tabernacle. It's her man that goes in. See, we love to quote the verse from the New Testament. There is no Jew or Greek, man or woman, slave or free. Oh, please, you're killing me. Put that nonsense out of your head and start learning what Yehovah's word actually says. Okay, well, that is Genesis 1, 2, and 3. I now want to turn to Yasher. I love Yasher. Yasher is all about the upright men in Yehovah's kingdom. Oh, we have so much to look forward to. Yasher is mentioned twice in the scriptures, once in Joshua and once in 2 Samuel. I say the scriptures. That's really not technically the scriptures. I like to think of the scriptures, the words of Yehovah, as being the words that actually come from Yehovah. That's the scriptures. This is the history. But Joshua talks about it, and so does 2 Samuel talk about it. It says, is it written? Is not this written in the book of Yasher? Behold, is it written? Is it written in the book of Yasher? The answer is yes, it is. Well, here it is. Faithfully translated from the original Hebrew. Well, you know what? I'd love to have the original Hebrew. I did have the Hebrew. Somebody sent me a Hebrew, but it had no verses. It had no chapters. And I couldn't find a thing into it. I don't have a good enough ability to read the Hebrew to see where all these are. So without numbers in it, I was lost. But I would love to have a Hebrew Yasher. If you can find one for me, it would sure help me. So we can see what some of these words are. I can speculate on what many of these words are because I'm so familiar with the Hebrew in the Torah. Well, it says, this is the book of generations of man, whom Elohim created upon the earth on the day when Yehovah made the heaven and the earth. Remember, heaven and the earth is the heavens where the birds fly and the earth which we dwell on. Well, unfortunately, if we get off to a terrible, terrible start in Yasher. Look at the very first verse. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And Elohim created man in his image. Well, how can we have two sentences? Well, it's not even two sentences. Maybe they should have a semicolon after likeness. So who created the man? It says, let us make man in our image. Then it says, and Elohim created man in his own image. Well, of course, they don't even say the man. They say man. Again, we've got some problems here. And Elohim formed man from the ground. Okay, did he form the woman from the ground? No, he created the man, formed the man from the ground. He blew into his nostrils the breath of Cha-yim. There's the Cha-yim. And the man became a living soul endowed with speech. And Yehovah said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make unto him a helpmeet, an etzer kenegdo. Isn't it amazing? 3 verses. We've gone through 2 chapters. Well, I guess he hasn't created the woman quite yet. But he's getting ready to. Helpmeet. Many words of the translators foster what I call, here it is, what I call stinking thinking. It's ideas, understandings that are being presented to us that really do not have the foundations in Torah that foster better understandings. We make it helpmeet, helper comparable, like himself as a helper to him, a helper as his counterpart. But many of these build upon bad ideas and false thinking. In Torah, it literally says, an aid suitable for him. Bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. She is not an equal. She's not a co-leader. She is an aide suitable. Somebody who's going to be led by the man. And Yehovah caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept. And he took away one of the ribs, and he built flesh upon it. And he formed it and brought it to Adam. And Adam woke from his sleep, and behold, a woman was standing before him. And he said, this is my bone. It shall be called woman, for she was taken from Ish. Here's Genesis 2:3. And Adam said, this new creation is now bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, an extension of my body. That's my words. She shall be called Isha, because she was taken from Ish. This is the first time Ish is being used. And Adam called her name, not Eve, he called her name Hava. Here, let me move this in here for you so you can see it. Otherwise, it's going to stay outside. It says he called her Hava, proper name designating Eve, the name of the first woman created by Yehovah Elohim. Oh, look at that. They put Yehovah Elohim. They got it right. Adam gave her the name Hava, meaning living. It comes from that same word, life. And Elohim blessed them and called their names Adam and Hava in the day that he created them. And Yehovah said, now look, it makes it look like who's he speaking to? Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. It looks like he's talking to the woman, doesn't it? Okay, you got to get beyond this, people. He's not talking to the ladies. He never talks to the ladies. It may appear that way from some of the translators that he's talking to the ladies. And Yasher, remember, we got a translator here that's translating these words. We got to get beyond these words because we got to look at it in the light of all of Torah. Okay, that's what I'm going to challenge you to do. I'm going to show you over and over and over and over and over and over again the examples of this being done. But unless we get the foundation now, we're not going to be able to see it. And Yasher, unfortunately, is not helping us to get the right ideas because of the words that they're using here. It says he created them. Okay, he did create them. But he didn't create them the same way and for the same purpose, did he? Not at all. He did not talk to the woman when he said, be fruitful and multiply. And I showed you that. I believe it was the second week. It must be the second week. Genesis chapter 2. When we looked at Noah. He told Noah and his sons, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. He didn't say it to his women. And there's other places where the same thing is being said. So we've got to understand it in the context of the whole, not don't build a verse on just this. Okay? Don't even build an idea on one verse in Torah that doesn't agree with all of Torah. But especially not Yasher. I love Yasher. There's good things in Yasher. There are some things in Yasher that I think are actually presented better or probably more accurately than Torah. And I'll point those out to you as we come to them. But this is not one of them. Not at all. This is a perversion. So let's continue. And Yehovah Elohim took Adam and his woman, and he placed them in the garden to dress it. Okay, is that what happened? No, he placed the man in the garden, and then it was in the garden that the woman was created. We saw that in Genesis 2. Again, it doesn't agree. Place them in the garden and to dress it and keep it. Okay, the woman wasn't there to dress it and keep it. She may have dressed it and keep it, but she's doing it with her man's instructions. And he commanded them. Okay, he did not command them. He commanded him and said to him, from every tree of the garden you may eat, but the tree of knowledge and good and evil you shall not eat, for in that day that you eat it, you shall surely die. Who is he talking to? Here it is. Here's the instruction. And Yehovah commanded the man, Adam, saying, of every tree of the garden you may eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. He was talking to Adam. And when Yehovah had blessed and commanded him, he went from him, and Adam and his woman dwelt in the garden according to the command of Yehovah, according to the command which Yehovah commanded him. I hope this is not upsetting you. I'm trying to help you see the truth. I know I'm taking liberties, but you know what? If I could see the Hebrew, I'll betcha I'm right, even in this. Our translators for centuries, even the Geneva Bible talks about the children of Israel. It does. They didn't know it. They don't understand. It's not the children of Israel. It's not the sons of Israel. It's not even my son Israel. It's Israel's seed. You got to be smarter than the translators. And that's why I encourage every one of you to start learning the Hebrew. Wow, we've got a lot of people here today. I don't think we've had this many here ever. Thank you for coming today. And the serpent enticed and persuaded the woman to eat from the tree of knowledge. And the woman hearkened to the voice of the serpent. The serpent persuaded Adam's flesh. Who was she supposed to hearken to? The flesh is supposed to hearken to the head. She transgressed the word of Yehovah. Okay, is that true? No. She transgressed the word of her man. She transgressed her man by talking to another man, by talking to another individual that's going to lead her in a way that her man wasn't. And took from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and she ate, and she took from it and gave it to her man, not husband. There is no husband in Torah either. Her man, and he ate. And Adam and his woman transgressed. We're on the call right now. Go away.
My animals go to the hospital. I need my spare key.
What key?
Just for my bedroom door.
Hold on, folks. I'm sorry. Here, give that to her. Bring it right back, please. Sorry, folks. We've got people living in our house that are squatting right now. Terrible situation. I hate it. They're using water, they're using electricity, and they're stealing it, is what they're doing. It's really awful. You have no idea what it's like. I hate this world. I can't wait till we're out of this world. Come, Father, raise up your righteous men, your Yasher men, this Shavuot. What is that? That is the 24th of this month. Ooh, wouldn't it be wonderful to see pillars of fire and smoke over our heads? this year? Wouldn't it be great to see the show get on the road? Father, raise up your righteous men, your Yasher men this year. Raise up those good shepherds, the male child, the nation that was born in a day. Can't wait. I hate this world. All right, let's continue. Sorry for the interruption. It says again, pervertedly, and Adam and his woman transgressed the command of Elohim. No, he transgressed the command of Elohim, which Yehovah commanded them. And Elohim knew it, and his anger was kindled against him, and he cursed him. Yeah, the woman's going to get cursed too. But it's about him. He didn't talk to the woman until the woman is in trouble. When the woman has left her man, then he talks to the woman. We saw that, and I gave you some examples of that. Miriam was a great example of that. She transgressed, tried to usurp Moses' authority. And Yehovah drove who? Him that day from the garden to till the ground from which he was taken. The woman didn't come from the ground. And he went and dwelt at the east of Eden. And Adam knew his woman Hava, and she bore 2 sons and 3 daughters. Oh, isn't that interesting? 2 sons and 3 daughters. People are always saying, well, where did the woman come from? Or where did Cain and Abel get their women? That's what they want to know. Their wives, of course, is the word they're going to use when they do that. Well, here it is. We'll see it in Torah. After Adam and Hava had Shem, it says he begat sons and daughters. It's in Genesis 5. We'll see it. Well, this is where they came from. 3 daughters. I'm guessing after Abel was killed, all 3 daughters went with Cain. That's my guess. Maybe not, but I'm guessing they did. And we're going to stop here. It says, read Genesis 4. If you would like to have a copy of this, remind me at the end, and I will give you a link to Yasher, my current edition of Yasher. Well, maybe it's not my current edition of Yasher, but a good edition of Yasher that is on my Dropbox that you can actually download for yourselves. By the way, it was my new friend from South Africa, Nicolene, who took me up on my offer this week, and I downloaded all of my study notes. Here they are. Let me go to my eSword. These are study notes that are on the right-hand side of these pages attached to these verses. The study notes for 323 are here. The study notes for 324 are here. I've got topic notes. Just about any topic you can think of. I've built topic notes. I've added 2 or 3 this week alone. Always adding topic notes because they help me to find things quickly. And then the highlights. I have my highlights in the New King James Version, but the highlights are the things that underlining, and it's called markups is actually what it's called in the eSword. But I'll give you my study notes, my topic notes, and my markup files. I'll give you the interlinear, this version. I'll give you the Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible, which is an awesome thing to have. That's Jeff Benner's work. And I'll also give you this version right here called, here we go, called the Hebrew Study Bible. That's kind of an interesting one too, if you want to know how to pronounce things. I really like that. It helps me many times. I refer to it often. Tools, that's what it is. It's all about the tools that help us learn Yehovah's word better. I'll give it to anybody who asks. Go to my eSword, download TeamViewer, give me a call once you've done that, and I can take hold of your computer through my computer and install these things on it. It's really helpful stuff. Let's go now to Genesis 4. I'd like to get through Genesis 4 today. It's 12:20. We obviously are not going to get through Genesis 4, but we'll get through part of it. No, Genesis 4. Yeah, Genesis 4. Here it is. Now, I use this red when I know that the words are perverted. No, I don't do it for Yehovah. I don't do it for Elohim. I would do it constantly. I just can't do it all the time. But I want to have you learn, when you see these words, to think differently. Okay, I use Elohim. Why? Because I know an Elohim is a lawmaker and a judge. And we're not supposed to have any other lawmakers or judges besides Yehovah. Not Obama, not Zuma, Yehovah. Talking to men, not ladies. Their Elohim is their man. But we got to learn to read differently and think differently. This says, now Ha'adam knew Hava, his woman. And she conceived and bore Cain. And said, I have acquired a man from Yehovah. Now, I'm here to suggest to you that this is not Eve that says this, or not Hava that says this. This is Ha'adam that is actually saying this. I have acquired a man from Yehovah. She might have birthed the man, but he got the man. And we're going to see over and over and over in the scriptures that he begat sons and daughters. She's he. He is begatting them. They're his seed that is being born, if they're men. So let's keep this in mind. Now, Ha'adam knew Hava, his woman, and she conceived and bore Cain. Cain is his name. And said, I have acquired a man from Yehovah. Bear with me for just a second. I had some notes here on Yasher. I really wanted to go through these notes, and I'm sorry I didn't do this when I was introducing Yasher. I gave kind of a hasty introduction, I guess, because I did intend to go through a couple things about Yasher. Do you mind if I do that just quickly here? I might even try and cut and paste this into the earlier portion that we did when I edit this thing. But I think it's important that you see these things. These are the two places that, thanks, Tom. He says, please do. These are the two places where in the Tanakh, it talks about Yasher. It says, so the sun stood still and the moon stopped till the people had revenge on their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Yasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of the heaven and did not hasten to go down for a whole day. Here it is in 2 Samuel 17:18. It says this. Then David lamented with this lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son, and he told them to teach the sons of Judah the song of the bow. Indeed, is it not written in the book of Yasher? Well, it is written in the book of Yasher. Here's Yasher. This is the word Yasher. It means straight, just, right. Oftentimes it means upright is how it's translated. Here is Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible. That was word study. Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible says accord, straight, remnant. Ooh, isn't that interesting that it says remnant? I think that is very, very interesting because we're talking about a remnant. The Yasher men. This book of Yasher is all about the men, the righteous men of Elohim, the men who have the Cha-yim in them, leading other men in the way that they should go. I love the book of Yasher. It has done more for me to learn Torah than any other book. I have seen things in Torah that I missed until I read Yasher and said, oh, I need to go back and look. And sure enough, I saw it and found it. I put the Yasher man is the man who does righteousness. Here's just a few places where it's used. Oh, and look, it's being used of Job by Yehovah. Then Yehovah said to Satan, have you considered my servant, my Aved? There's only male Aved. There's no female Aved. Have you considered my Aved, Job? That there is none like him on the earth, blameless, and Yasher, blameless and upright man, who fears Elohim and shuns evil. Here's another one, Proverbs 11. The righteous of the Yasherim, that's the plural form of Yasher, will deliver them. But the righteousness of the Yasherim will deliver them. Their righteousness will deliver them. But the unfaithful will be caught by their lusts. An abomination to the righteous. Here's the one I was telling you about earlier, Proverbs 29. The abomination to the righteous is the perverse man. And the abomination to the wicked is the Yasher, is the Yasher in the way. Ooh, I really like that. Yasher, what an amazing word this is. Upright man. It is an abomination for kings to commit wickedness, for a throne is established by righteousness. Righteous lips are the delight of kings, and they love him who speaks what is Yasherim. Crooked is the way of the guilty man, but as for the pure, Yasher is his way. Upright is his way. Here's just a few more. The statutes of Yehovah are Yasherim, rejoicing the heart. The commandments of Yehovah are pure, enlightening the eyes. Who has counted the dust of Jacob? Or has numbered the fourth part of Israel? Let me die the death of the Yasherim. Let me die the death of the upright. And let my hereafter be like his. Yes, he's going to a good place. He pours contempt on princes and causes them to wander in the wilderness. He did that to the king of Babylon. What was his name? He had him eat grass for 7 years. Nebuchadnezzar. Thanks, Carrie. Yes. Yet he sets the poor on high, far from affliction, and makes their families like a flock. The Yasherim see it and rejoice, and all iniquity stops in his mouth. Wow. Yasher. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're going to read about. Canaan, Enoch, Methuselah, Noah, Abraham. We have Meshem, Eber, Abraham. Of course, they were all together. Isaac, Jacob. Oh, we have so much to look forward to in Yasher. My favorite book of the Bible is Genesis, hands down, because of Yasher adds so much to it. Well, let's begin Genesis 4:1. Now Ha'adam knew Hava, his woman, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from Yehovah. Then she bore again, this time his brother Havel. Havel, isn't that interesting? It's not Abel, it's Havel. Havel. Now Havel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of fruit of the ground to Yehovah. You know, I always felt like Cain, let's just call him Cain. You've heard Cain. Let's just call him Cain. That's what everybody knows. And Abel. In the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to Yehovah. I always felt like Cain got bum beefed. Did you ever feel like Cain got bum beefed? Yehovah liked his offering. I mean, it just said Cain was a tiller of the ground, not a keeper of sheep. He brought something that came from his provision from Yehovah. But here's Yasher. This is Yasher 1:15. We're going to get to this. We read through 1 through 12 just now. Here's 15 and 16. It says, and it was at the expiration of a few years that they brought an approximating offering to Yehovah. And Cain brought from the fruit of the ground, and Abel brought from the firstlings of his flock, from the fat thereof. And Elohim turned and inclined to Abel and his offering. And a fire came down from Yehovah, from heaven, and consumed it. Woo, wouldn't that have been cool? But unto Cain, move this up. But unto Cain and his offering Yehovah did not turn, and he did not incline to it. For he, Cain, had brought from the inferior fruit of the ground before Yehovah. Cain apparently was bringing something that was inferior. Isn't that interesting? And let me just read it again. And unto Cain and his offering Yehovah did not incline, for he brought from the inferior fruit of the ground before Yehovah. And Cain was jealous against his brother Abel on account of this, and he sought a pretext to slay him. I wondered, did Adam bring anything to Yehovah at this time? And how come it wasn't addressed? I'm guessing he did. You know, I looked at this word offering right here. This word offering is this word right here. It is minka. We learned about the minka offering when we went through Leviticus 2. We'll talk about it again. It's generally a grain offering. I think sometimes wine gets involved in it, but it's generally a grain offering. So this minka has not been fully developed, apparently, at this point in time. I think Yehovah is going to spell it out more carefully once we get to the mountain. This is a minka offering. But it is something that a man brings to Yehovah, not a woman. A minka. Verse 4. Abel also brought the firstborn of his flock and their fat, and Yehovah respected Abel and his offering. But he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. So Yehovah said to Cain, "Why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted?" Okay, so that tells us something happened. He didn't do well. What didn't he do? He didn't bring the best of his ground. He brought inferior things of the ground. What are we bringing to Yehovah? Are we bringing second-rate stuff to him? Are we giving him part of ourselves, but not all of ourselves? Ladies, are you serving your man in part? Are you giving him inferior fruits? See, think of fruit. A man is judged according to his fruit, according to his deeds. We're told to be fruitful and multiply. What fruit are we bringing to Yehovah? The best that we have? Remember, you serve Yehovah, ladies, by serving your man. Are you bringing him the best? Or are you bringing him second rate? Men, what are you bringing? Most of you men are bringing things to Obama, to Zuma, not to Yehovah. Some things to consider. If you do well, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you. What does he say? But you shall rule over it. You should rule over it. What? Over sin. It's lying at the door. Sin's desire is for a man to choose to go his own way. That's what Adam did. I want to decide what is right. No, what is good and evil. Men are to rule over their desire in lieu of Yehovah's desire. As a servant of Yehovah, his desire is to become our desire. Did you hear what I said? Our job is to make Yehovah's desire our job. Ladies, you are to make your husband's desire your job. Well, here's a verse that spoke volumes to me. This is in Numbers 9. It goes like this. On the 14th day of the second month, at twilight, they may keep it. They shall eat it with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. Talking about Passover. It's the second Passover, second month. They shall leave none of it till morning, nor break any of its bones. According to the ordinances of the Passover, that's the ordinances that are in Exodus 12, they shall keep it. It says, but the man who is clean and not on a journey, the man, Ha'ish, who is clean and not on a journey, and ceases to keep the Passover, that same person, that same man shall be cut off from among his people, because he did not bring the offering of Yehovah at its appointed time. It says that man shall bear his own sin. What did it say? Sin lies at the door, and its desire is to rule over you. So here's the man who did not keep the Passover at the appropriate time. Okay, remember, only the Ger and the Ezra can keep the Passover. The Toshav, the Ben Nakar, the son of a foreigner, doesn't keep it. Only Israel keeps the Passover. And only Israel's men keep the Passover. And really, not even the servants. We're talking about the men. The Ger and the Ezra. A servant has a lesser, how shall I say, standing. He's a servant of the Ezra. But here's a man who keeps it, and his sin is, or does not keep it, and his sin is he says he shall bear his sin. So what does that say? The opposite of it says that the man who does keep it is going to have his sin taken away. Okay, this is the point where sin does not have authority over us. We are bringing the offering for the sins that we did this past year, and we are renewing our covenant with Yehovah and reinforcing the idea that we are going to follow him in this coming year. Passover is an amazing time, and it's for each individual man. I put women are to rule over their desire in lieu of their man's desire. Your job is to make your man's desire your job. Wowzers. Verse 8. Now Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him. This is interesting. And again, this is Yasher. We're not going to get to Yasher today, but I want to go over it because I know I'm not going to get to it today. So as while I'm here, what happened in this field? It says, then Yehovah said to Cain. Well, this is after he killed him. So let's talk about them killing him. It says in Yasher on the right. And in some time after, Cain and Abel, his brother, went one day to the field to do their work. And they were both in the field, Cain tilling and plowing his ground, and Abel feeding his flock. And the flock passed that part which Cain had plowed in the ground. And it sorely grieved Cain. Well, I'd be a little ticked too. And Cain approached his brother Abel in anger and said to him, what is there between me and thee that thou comest to dwell and bring thy flock to feed in my land? And Abel answered his brother Cain and said, what is there between me and thee that thou eat the flesh of my flock and clothe thyself with their wool? Well, I think this is really interesting because you know what? There's people that will tell you in the antediluvian world we didn't eat flesh. Looks to me like we did. When they went on the ark, we knew what was clean and what was unclean. We're going to see that we brought 7 pairs of clean animal into the ark and only 2 pairs of unclean animals. Noah did. That thou shalt eat the flesh of my flock, and clothe thyself with their wool. And now, therefore, put off the wool of my sheep, which thou hast clothed thyself, and recompense me, repay me for their fruit, the meat, and the flesh which thou hast eaten, the fruit that could be the milk also, and the flesh which thou hast eaten. And when thou shalt have done this, I will then go from thy land as thou hast said. So now Yehovah is going to come to Cain. And Yehovah said to Cain, "Where is Abel thy brother?" He said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" And he said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Oh my goodness. The ground is giving a witness to Elohim, Yehovah, the creator of both the heaven and the earth, that something is desperately wrong. Deuteronomy 4:26 says, "I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that you will soon utterly perish from the land which you cross over the Jordan to possess. You will not prolong your days in it, but will be utterly destroyed." Heaven and earth can testify against a man. We only need 2 witnesses. It says 2 or 3. There's 2 right there. Yehovah knows the secret things because the earth knows the secret things. The heavens know the secret things. He's got a few more here. Let me just read them to you. I call heaven and earth to witness as witnesses today against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that you and your seed may live. Here's the last one. Gather to me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, that I may speak these words in their hearing and call heaven and earth to witness against them. I'm running out of time, but I want to try to get through this blood. So now, you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. Oh my goodness. I began to see something new in here that I'd never seen before. I put the blood of all the animals that we slaughter for food goes into the ground. That's what he always tells us. Pour it on the ground, the blood of the animals that we're slaughtering for food. Not our own. We don't put our blood. We don't kill men. Well, we're going to see that right after we come out of the ark. We're going to see it today because this next verse is an amazing verse. Let me read this again in 11. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. The earth has his brother's blood in it. He says, when you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. Look what it says. This is the New King James Version. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth. Fugitive, vagabond. Is that what Yehovah is saying? I want to correct some of our bad thinking, some of our stinking thinking. What's he saying here? Fugitive? Vagabond? Remember, we're talking about a man who's been a farmer. A man who's got his sustenance, good fruit, good vegetables from the ground. But now the ground is no longer to give him strength. not going to yield good things to him. Yasher says it's going to bring up thorns and thistles. You can't eat thorns and thistles. So is this about being a fugitive and a vagabond? I disagree strongly. Cain is to adopt a lifestyle of a nomad, ever wandering and no place to call home. Since Cain can no longer till the ground, he is to be a forager and a wanderer in the earth. No roots and no place to call home. That's really not a translation of that verse, just for the fugitive and vagabond. He's a forager and a wanderer. It's all about food. Where are you going to get more food? Your curse is too big for me. It's been so easy getting my food this way. Now he's telling him he's got to be a forager, moving constantly to get fruit from trees, from plants, berries, whatever. Wild things. Well, I had to do again a word search on this for this forager. They translate it as fugitive. Practically everybody. Look at this. This is the compare feature on this verse. Look at, just go with me down this here real quick. Fugitive. Reward for your work. Flight from the earth. Well, that one's not a very good one. Here's vagabond and ruminant. Okay, runagit. Runagit is a fugitive. Homeless wanderer. That's an amplified version or whatever you call that. Here's fugitive, vagabond, fugitive, vagabond, fugitive, vagabond, fugitive, vagabond and a fugitive, vagabond and a wanderer, vagrant and a wanderer. They usually get the second word better. Wanderer. It's wanderer. Vagrant and a wanderer. But fugitive and a wanderer, New King James. This one here, the Young's Literal Translation, that gave me a little more hope. It said, even a trembling one, a wanderer, even a trembling one. Okay, he's trying to get to the truth, but he doesn't understand the context. He, they, whatever, don't understand the context. The word means this. The word means shake. Here, what is the word? Let's look at this word real quick. The word is nua. Nua. It means to shake. The root means to shake. The word means to shake. Okay, why shake? Because he's coming to a tree. He's got to glean off of the tree. What was the word that I used for this? Forage. He's gleaning. He's foraging for food. Just like the Native Americans would forage for food. Just like people have done for generations. Foraging for food. He's to be a wanderer, living in a tent. Moving always from place to place, never having a place called home. That is how he was supposed to live the rest of his life. And I wonder if that was the way his seed was supposed to live the rest of his life. Perhaps not. Maybe it was specifically for Cain. Because remember, Cain was the one who killed his brother. But here's the problem. Blood has been shed. Why is the earth, here, what did it say? The earth shall no longer give up its strength to you. Why? Well, here it is in Numbers. Well, let's see. Did I miss a note here? Oh, here, Yasher said, moving and wandering in the earth. Okay, again, they don't get it right. Moving and wandering, that's like saying the same thing twice. Wandering and wandering, isn't it? No, it's gleaning, it's foraging and wandering as we go about. Here is why the blood doesn't, or why the land, his land, doesn't produce food for him anymore. No longer gives it strength. This is Numbers 35:33. It says, so you shall not pollute the land where you are, for blood defiles the land. And no covering can be made for the land for the blood that is shed on it, except the blood of him who shares it. When we kill somebody, who is it that comes after us to make a covering for the blood that has been spilt on the land? Do you know? It's the man's brother. But he killed his brother. And there is no other brother to come after him. So Yehovah is putting this curse on him because he's defiled the land. And the land cannot produce the way it's supposed to produce if there is uncovered blood in it. I put Cain destroyed his livelihood by murdering his brother. We're going to see in Yasher, Adam will say, well, Yehovah knows, and you're going to be in trouble. And he said, well, he doesn't know. He won't know. This is the reason why when Israel finds a man slain in the land, that Yehovah has provided a way to cleanse ourselves and our land. We can't let this blood go. It's going to pollute our land and prevent us from being blessed in the land. Look at what it says here in Deuteronomy. We found a man in our field. Here's the rules, the statutes, the ordinances that we're supposed to follow. And all the elders of the city nearest to the slain man shall wash. Notice it says man, not woman, man, shall wash their hands over the heifer whose neck was broken in the valley. We're going to bring a female cow, break her neck. We're making atonement for this blood that has been shed on our land. Then they shall answer and say, our hands have not shed this blood, nor have our eyes seen it. Provide a covering, O Yehovah. Okay? They're saying, I didn't do it. None of my people did it. Remember, if his woman did it, he did it. If a servant did it, he did it. The responsibility for the people who are under him are on them. All the elders are saying, it wasn't me. It wasn't any of mine. Provide a covering, O Yehovah. For your people Israel, they're the ones who own the land, who you have redeemed, and do not lay innocent blood to the charge of your people Israel. And a covering shall be provided. They always want to say atonement. It's covering. And a covering shall be provided on their behalf for the blood. So you shall put away the guilt of innocent blood from among you. Why? When you do what is right in the sight of Yehovah. I guess it doesn't tell us why, but it's going to tell us why here in a moment. Here is, after the flood, Yehovah tells Noah and his sons this. Ooh, this is pretty amazing. Surely for your lifeblood, talking about Noah and his sons, not their women, I will demand a reckoning from every living thing. I will require it. Every living thing. What is every living thing? That's the Cha-yim thing. It always gets translated as beast. No, every living thing. A pig is a living thing. A dog is a living thing. A cow is a living thing. A bobcat is a living thing. But now listen to what he says. And from the hand of Ha-adam. The hand of Ha-adam. Every living thing, and from the hand of Ha-adam. So where does that leave the woman? In the hand of Ha-adam or in the living thing? In the living thing. That's right. He says, from the hand of every man's brother, that's the man who's been killed, I will require the life of Ha-Adam. Whoever sheds Ha-Adam's blood by man, that is in Adam, by Adam, his blood shall be shed. A woman is not going to kill another man. A woman doesn't kill men, ever, not in war, never. For in the image of Elohim, he made man. Ooh, isn't that interesting? That really clarified that we're not talking about the ladies. The ladies weren't made in the image of Elohim, were they? He made the man. Here is why the avenger of blood goes after the manslayer. This is the reason. It pollutes the ground. So you shall not pollute the land where you are, for blood defiles the ground. And I forgot to change it. And no covering can be made for the land, for the blood that is shed on it, except by blood. No covering can be made for the land, for the blood that is shed on it, except by the blood of him who shed it. This is why the avenger of blood is going after the Rashak, the murderer, even if it's accidental. He's going after the murderer. Why? Because he loved his brother? Yes, that's part of it, but it's really more than that. We can't have innocent blood shed on our land. Blood shed on our land pollutes our land and keeps it from producing and giving forth its strength. And that is the reason why Cain had to become a forager and a wanderer on the earth. And I'm overdue by 4 minutes right now, so I have to stop here. Thank you for joining me today. Please go to my YouTube. We Are Israel, Michael DDA. Go to my YouTube channel. Sign up for my YouTube channel. If you haven't heard 1, 2, and 3, listen to 1, 2, and 3. This is number 4. Get it from the beginning. You need this foundation in your life. It will change the way you read Yehovah's word given through Moses. Well, again, thank you for joining me. We'll see you again next week. Please come back. Love you tons. Bye now.